Are we ready for this? I don't know, but here we go. Hey, my name is Annie. I have lost 115 pounds and I want to tell you my story. I have been creating and posting content on TikTok for a year and a half now relating to my weight loss journey. And TikTok is a great place, but there's a lot of restrictions now on what you can and can't talk about when it comes to medication, when it comes to weight loss, when it comes to health. And truly, I feel like I have a lot more things that I want to express and discuss, and this just feels like a better and more efficient place to do it. So I decided I would start a YouTube channel, and here I am. So if you made it here, I would really appreciate it if you would subscribe to the channel. Very inspired right now to put out longer form content, to share more, and to make more quality content here on YouTube. And I really appreciate you for supporting. So long story long, I started sharing on TikTok in September of 2022. And that is not the beginning of my weight loss journey, although that is a very significant date in my weight loss journey. My highest weight was 315 pounds. At that time, I had just found out I was pregnant with my son. And I was absolutely terrified because I did not know if my body was capable of carrying and producing a happy and healthy human being. And I am so lucky to say that it did. I have been overweight my entire life. There isn't a time in my life where I didn't carry excess weight, even down to the age of 9 years old when I first started my cycle. And I wish I knew then what I know now about PCOS and how it can affect the body, because at the time I was struggling and still do struggle with PCOS, but it was going untreated and it really just wreaked havoc on my body. During my pregnancy, I didn't lose or gain weight. So after I had given birth, I ended up dropping about 30 pounds because my body had just maintained. My hormones had been regular, so to speak, and my PCOS had been controlled because I was pregnant. I wasn't having any of my PCOS issues. And that kind of turned a light bulb on in my head where I was like, oh man, maybe this is really something to explore here. But I was busy being a new mom and trying to figure out how to do mom things. And it just kind of went to the back of my mind and I ended up gaining back a lot of that weight. And fast forward a bit till when I got pregnant with my daughter and then had my daughter. When I was in the postpartum period, I ended up having a lumbar disc tear, which was devastating at the time. I had a 6-month-old baby. I was staying home with my kids. I was trying to be present and be a mom, and I just had this horrible physical pain and limitation, and I couldn't lift things, and I was constantly in and out of the bed because my back would flare up and I wouldn't be able to do anything, and I would just be able to lay there, and I just felt so sad. I felt so sad and so desperate for a change, and so I ended up speaking with a couple of my friends, and they said, hey, have you heard of this medication called Mounjaro? It's really great for people with PCOS, type 2 diabetes, and obesity, and it's helping so many people lose weight. Have you considered taking it? And I remember saying, no, absolutely not. I will not do that. I just need to work harder. I just need to try harder. Like, that's the easy way out. I'm not going to do that. Like, I'm better than that, whatever. And I was so misinformed and uneducated at that time, and I wish that that version of me would have just taken a step back and started sooner, but I did end up starting the medication September 25th of 2022. That was the best choice I could have ever made, and I'm so glad that I finally chose it and took a minute to step outside of all of that toxic diet culture that I had internalized, believing that I wasn't trying hard enough when in reality, I was trying way harder than a lot of people try, and I was just not seeing results. Like, I cut calories, I would over-exercise, I ate clean. I tried every diet that ever existed. I mean, I did keto, I did South Beach, I did, Atkins, I did the cabbage leaf diet. I don't know, like all these crazy diets. I would do them and I would try so hard and I would get no results. And it was just such a frustrating and awful cycle to be a part of. And so I did finally make the decision to start Mounjaro. And at the time I thought to myself, if nothing else, I have to lose weight for my back injury to heal. I don't want to have surgery in my early 30s. I have 2 small children. I have got to get this under control. I have to be able to live a functional life for them. And so I started my Mounjaro just so that I could lose some weight to help heal my back. And here I am now, a year and a half later, and I have lost a total of 115 pounds. And I am just in awe of the power of this medication. I mean, it truly changed my life. I have less back flares now, although I still do struggle with that injury from time to time, but I'm way more active than I've ever been in my whole life. I get excited to do things instead of being intimidated to do things, which is really different and fun. I've rediscovered my love for makeup, for hair, for fashion, for beauty. I just find that life is a lot brighter now than it ever has been before because my body is so much more capable. So I told you my starting weight was 315 pounds. Right now, I'm kind of in a precarious situation because I'm in the middle of a weight loss stall. I did hit Wonderland and then I immediately bounced back out of Wonderland. If you watch my TikToks, then you're already aware of this, but I hit Wonderland. It was so exciting. We celebrated and then my body immediately shot me back out and I was no longer in Wonderland. And now I'm sitting right in the low 200s. 204 was my last weigh in. And I know that I still have some room to go, right? I don't have a goal weight. I have a goal lifestyle and I'll talk more about that. If you're interested, let me know in the comments and we can kind of discuss the difference between goal weight, goal body, goal lifestyle, because all three of them are so different and they're also important in their own way. So I don't technically have a number on the scale that I'm chasing, but I would like to be somewhere under 200 pounds. My original goal was 220 and my now goal is to be under 200. As far as like a hard and staunch number on the scale to be lower than that, I have no idea. I don't know what my body's capable of doing. I told you before I've been overweight my whole life, so I don't even know what a like normal sized body would be like for me or what my body will want to be when it gets to a stopping point. So I don't want to put a lot of pressure on myself by choosing a number that I don't even know if I'm capable of necessarily. But I definitely think I have some more room to go. So I'm gonna be shocked if this audio is like even usable because my dog is snoring. My kids are screaming. And then somebody is playing the loudest bass on their car. One of the reasons I'm so excited about this YouTube channel is because I want to have conversations about all of the things that have changed as far as my mindset, my body, my spirit, all of the things that have changed on this journey for me because I feel like they're so important. They're things that are so personal to me that I know other people are struggling with that I thought no one else felt or thought. I felt nobody could relate to. And then when I started sharing them on my other platform, I found that there are a lot of people who can relate to this. And I think that right now in my life, I want to create a space where I can express those things and relate to other people and build a group of individuals who are wanting the same things that I want, who are healing in the same ways that I'm healing, who can help me just as much as I can help them. And I truly think this will just be such a beautiful creative outlet for me, so I'm really excited. If there's anything that you're interested in seeing, please let me know in the comments what kind of content you like to watch, what kind of questions you might have about this whole experience, what I eat, what I do, what it's like to take the medication, side effects. Anything that has to do with it, let me know and I'm happy to answer it for you. I really want to dive deeper into these topics. I just feel really called to have these kind of discussions and I've just been looking for the right place to do it. And I'm happy to have settled here. There's so much of internalized toxic diet culture that we're not even truly aware of, especially when we're talking about things like this. Everyone is constantly talking about Ozempic, a lot of times in a very negative light. So Ozempic and Mounjaro are very similar medications. Ozempic is a GLP-1 medication. Mounjaro is also a GLP-1 medication, but Mounjaro is a dual agonist. So it has a GLP-1 component and a GIP component. And if you're interested in hearing more about how that works in the brain and the body, let me know and I'll make a video for you. But a lot of people talk about Ozempic and the weight loss on Ozempic being a way to cheat the system, the easy way out, things like that. Something we have such a long way to go on is understanding what obesity is and truly making sure that people are understanding that obesity is a chronic hormonal disorder. One thing to need to lose a couple of pounds, and if your body responds to a cleaner diet and exercise, that's wonderful and a blessing and so great for you. But I spent decades of my life doing those things with no result and sometimes even a worse result. For all of those years I would start these diets and I would just kick my butt in the gym and I would eat so clean and nothing would happen, or a little bit of progress would be made, like I would lose 15 pounds, but when you're 315 pounds, 15 pounds doesn't feel like very much, you know what I mean? And so I would lose this weight and then I would hit a stall or something would happen and I would just be so devastated and I would give up and I would shame spiral myself and tell myself, oh, you're just not working hard enough, you're not good enough, how could you have, like, I would have one slice of pizza and my body would like bloat up, and then so I would say to myself, like, what's wrong with you? How can you not stay stick to this. Like, it was so awful, the things that I said to myself and the emotional roller coaster that I was on because of that. And when I started this medication and suddenly all of those obsessive thoughts about food went away, and I realized that it's a common occurrence to have food noise, but it is not a normal experience of someone to have food noise. That like blew my mind. The fact that this medication took away the obsession I had with food, the fantasizing I did about food. Like, it's one thing to practically think about your meals, right? You know what's normal? Waking up and being like, what am I going to have for breakfast, lunch, and dinner? Okay, cool. I have my day planned out, move along. I'm talking about, like, I was waking up having a very high caloric, high sugar meal, eating that meal and thinking about, what am I going to have for lunch? Would the cheese dip taste better? Would the fajitas taste better? Ooh, I want this. Like, in a way that was not practical and not fuel-based, and it was more fantasy-based. And I never realized how loud that voice was until I started this medication and it turned off. Now, is food noise the same as hunger? No, those are two different things. Hunger is good. You want to be hungry. If you're taking a medication like this and you're taking it so that you don't feel hunger, you're doing something that is going to harm yourself in the long run. You should not do that. Also, this is not medical advice. When that food noise went away and I took this medication, it made it easier for me to make those healthier decisions. I'm eating a well-rounded diet and I'm starting to see weight loss. It was wild to me. At the time that I started this medication, I was unable to exercise. In fact, most of my journey, I have not been able to participate in a exercise program because of my back injury. And so for me to not exercise, to eat a well-rounded diet, and to see this weight loss was mind-blowing for me. And it took me a while, one, to not be afraid that it was going to stop working, because that was one of my biggest fears, and it still is to this day, that it will stop working and everything will change and go back to how it was. And that's so scary. But two, the fact that it was working and I wasn't having to do the things that I did before, like over-restricting, over-exercising, all of those things. I went through this process where I had to sit down with myself and say, hey, this wasn't your fault. This wasn't your fault. You tried hard. You were doing all the right things. Your body is broken and it just needed medicine, and that's okay. And so the fact that this medication existed and that I was able to start it and try it, and it has changed my life, like, it is a miracle. It is a miracle medication. It's hard for me because I see, like, when people ask how I've lost weight, and my response is that I started treating my PCOS with medication, and they ask which one, and I tell them, and it's like I lose all credibility. Like, immediately, my way of losing weight was not good enough. I didn't work hard enough. I didn't do enough. And that in itself is so wild to me, because who cares how you lost the weight? Who cares how you did it? Whether it's through natural ways, which is great. If your body responds to that, awesome. Mine doesn't. Whether it's through medication, whether it's through surgeries. I just don't understand why we're taking away the validation for people who are bettering their health. Anyway, that's a whole tangent, and I could talk a lot about that, so I'll spare you for now. Like I said, I'm in the middle of a weight loss stall right now, trying to battle through it in a positive way. That's kind of an abridged version of my story and how I got here and what I'm doing here. I would really love your feedback on what you want to see. If you have any questions, things you want to talk about in the comments, I'm happy to address pretty much anything. I'm pretty much an open book. If you made it this far in the video, if you don't mind commenting a little pink heart to show me some love, I would really appreciate it. Love you. Say it back. Okay, we did it.